like I say, the real weak link to the SR-71 was the tires. We were actually messing around with a titanium tire. What we actually tried in the old days, although Nixon and JFK wouldn't know anything about this, what we were actually trying was a titanium wire tire. We're messing around with a wire mesh. When we're messing around and you can go back and actually look at the photographs of everything, but what we were actually looking at and messing around with was a banded titanium wire where we actually doing like this carbon fiber. It looked like a wire mesh that was like thin titanium strands that would go from one side to another side, because like I said, when the SR-71 is flying, the skin temperature is 1,500 degrees or 2,000 degrees or something like that, and can get upwards of 3,500 degrees. And the cockpit, which is heavily shielded with the most heat blocking temperature thing and the pilot is air conditioned like crazy, because the ambient air inside of the cockpit is between 250 and 500 degrees, just in front of in front of the pilot, between the pilot's head, the instruments, and the glass, is 250 to 500 degree temperatures. So he's basically like sitting in an oven, just like chilling. Basically, that's how hot it is. And so the window also takes like the outside of the window is like 1,000 degrees or 1,500 degrees. Like glass is super special glass and very thick. And so, and then there's his helmet and everything. So if the guy wasn't air conditioned constantly, he would die. So everything on the inside, the fuel tank, all the center compartments, the center fuselage is basically all air conditioned, including the pilot. And there's like there's heat distribution fins underneath that distribute, and which means it has to get that, because like I said, if the skin's at 2,000 degrees, then where's it going to go? And there's a two-part system. One part is there's a super cooled fluid, which is basically Freon, and what it does is it's already super cooled, so it takes a while for it to heat up. Plus we use this other thing where I forget what Freon does, or I mean liquid nitrogen, not Freon. There's liquid nitrogen or something like that, and I forget exactly what it does, but there's like the system. I forget how it works exactly, but basically, there's we had to have like a screen that can get up to like 5,000 degrees to actually bleed out heat from, like, it's insane. It's insane because it's like, how do you extinguish, how do you transfer heat? And mostly it's kind of hard to, I forget how we did it exactly. I think we use a cooling vane in the engines where the air coming in as it's cooling. I think that might be what we might have done, is use, there's a cooling rack underneath the aircraft, I think. And there's also like something about with like the engines, where the engines somehow cool it. I forget exactly how we did that. Anyway, it's all in the information of it. But so the tires have to be able to withstand temperatures of, because because we're thinking about air conditioning, but we can't air condition that big of a space. There's no way in hell. And we're thinking, how can we do this? So we were working on a wire mesh that, so the tires wouldn't actually even be inflated. They would just have a wire mesh, but that didn't work. So, and they are rubber, so we had to have this special kind of rubber that would not bake at such high temperatures. And basically the rubber becomes melted and plasticizes. And what you actually have to do is you actually have to come down, and I think what you have to do is actually pull the landing gear down, and the landing gear coming in, or I forget how it works exactly, but basically you start cooling the landing gear off before you actually land. If you just come down and then put down the landing gear and then try and land, the tires will go and that'll be it. The aircraft will go because the tires need time. It takes like a 30 minutes or an hour for the air to blast past the tires, where the tires are just cooling and extinguishing all that heat that just came off. So the airframe is cooling down. So you have to like do like a 1 hour, 2 hour cool down, just letting it cool off, and then you pull the landing gear out, and then you let the wheels cool off. It's like let the wheels cool off. Let the wheels cool off. So you have to have the landing gear down like put the landing gear down way beforehand. So like somewhere up there. I think on the way down, maybe the cold air might finally get to it. I forget. It depends. Anyway, well, I mean, you can't. It depends on whether or not you're like blasting like Mach 7 going down. Anyway, there's certain issues with it basically that we noticed with it. I mean, I used to be more into it pretty much. I mean, after a while, I was like, whatever. Anyway, but the landing gear was the hardest part because, like I said, when you're up there really high, because it literally goes into space, which is really cool. I was trying to get to space. I was like, let's get to space. Let's get to space. Anyway, my Germans did it. We got to space. So, anyway, though, but those things are actually, the heat goes up in there. Anyway, so like I said, they did not understand this when the USF people were pretty much just some paramilitary guys that just shot everyone at the hangar and shot everyone at the French. That's why they reported fighting in Germany at the hangar and also fighting at the other one, because the USF boys killed everybody at one base with their helmets on, and then they went right across to the other base and killed all the French over there guarding the other aircraft. And then they stole the aircraft. So everyone died. Because the aircraft, like I said, was 500 to 1,000 years old. And like I said, Richard Nixon and they wanted to say that they had built it and that it was their aircraft, and they wanted to do this fake lie. So yeah, you can check it out yourself, but yeah, I know what happened, so it was not pretty.